Let's do this. The Cult of Hockey podcast by the faithful and for the faithful. I'm David Staples of the Edmonton Journal. And I'm here today with Bruce. McCurdy, Bruce. We're back. The Oilers are back. We are back with our 2 good things, 2 bad things, and 2 numbers podcast and the Oilers 4-1 exhibition game victory over the Calgary Flames. What did you think of I'm just going to, I forgot to turn on a light here. I'm going to turn it on, but what did you think of the game?
Never in doubt. It was, Oilers got off to the quick early start with 2 early goals, and they finished off with 2 late goals, and in between times it was a whole lot of scrambling and a lot of time of Calgary holding the puck in Edmonton territory and generating shots, but only the 1 goal that they were able to muster, and some big stops from Edmonton goalies, and it was, I call it a workmanlike performance. I didn't want the Oilers to lay it all out there tonight, and they really didn't, You just want them to get through that game and survive, and anytime, when Kachuk submarine Draisaitl, I held my breath a little bit, and I guess Smith jammed something at one point, but it looks like they got through it. Okay, and I mean, if you're going to play Calgary, you might as well beat them, right? So,
yeah, Kachuk.
They'll take the 0 points and
He's
move on.
He's such a dirty hockey player, honestly.
That submarine was not fair play at all.
There's something every game, right? He's always doing something. Mm-hmm. Bruce, I thought I didn't, the fans not being in the building. Of course you notice it. But I thought that was a pretty intense, like for an exhibition game, that was an amazingly intense exhibition game. There was lots of hits, which you hardly ever see in an exhibition game. They were battling hard. They're trying to get ready for what's coming next, which is going to be super intense. It's going to be interesting because without the fans, one of the things about the playoffs is the fans just go crazy, right? Mm-hmm. They go nuts, and you have to think the players feed off that. Just the absolute nutty frenzy of the fans being there. Now that's going to be absent, and it's a different situation. So, and we'll see different players, I think, maybe react in different ways to it. Maybe there's going to be like a more introverted player or someone like who's not, doesn't get pumped up by that kind of thing. If that's, who might actually do a little better without that kind of scrutiny intensity right there at the rink. But then there's going to be the player who just thrives off that adrenaline, who might actually do a little bit less. And it's hard to know. And like, if we hear the excuse, well, I couldn't get into it, I just couldn't raise my level of intensity because if you ever hear that from a player, man, that will be the worst excuse of all, because it's every situation in life presents a different challenge.
Right.
And your test right now is to meet this challenge, is to ace this, which could see you could end up playing, was it 33 games? Like, this is this incredible marathon, weird challenge of isolation, being cooped up in a hotel, a beautiful gilded cage, but still a cage, cooped up with the same people. And it's going to be a fascinating kind of social experiment in hockey to see which team can come through this the best. I like Edmonton's chances, Bruce, because I think they're a bunch of fanatics. I honestly think this is a very fanatical group of players right now, led by Chief Fanatic in Chief Connor McDavid. And why don't I start there with my good thing? Well, he's not my good thing. Sorry, that was a bad segue. He was going to be one of my good. He got one of. I gave 3 8s in the game, 3 grade 8s.
Oh yeah.
And McDavid was one of them.
Oh, okay.
But my good thing, Bruce.
We're just doing one each.
One each. Yeah.
Okay. That was only an exhibition game.
It was just an exhibition game. Let's not go crazy here.
Yeah, 100%.
My good thing was that the players. I think I gave them all 7s. It's the top 4 defensemen on the Oilers: Clefbaum, Larson, Nurse, and Bear. And I'll just quickly say why I gave each one of them. I was so happy, first of all, to see Nurse back in the lineup and healthy and looking not at all injured. I just thought he was a commanding presence in that game. Ethan Bear was, as usual, he's just picked up right where he left off. Such a savvy, smart, effective hockey player, a right shot player, and he unleashed a real corker of a right shot one timer on the
Mm-hmm.
power play, which was great to see. Oscar Klefbom, he's he's just pure class at this point. He's a really fine NHL defenseman who, and on the power play, I've come to consider him the most underrated Oiler on the power play. Maybe Chase on too. Both of these players play really key roles, and
Mm-hmm.
Clefbaum twice just did what he always does. He makes that perfect, quick, effective pass right on into the wheelhouse of the player on the half wall or down low, and led to one goal. He whipped it
Right.
over Draisaitl and led to the goal. And then there was another play where he set up McDavid down low, and then McDavid got it to James Neal, I believe. I think that was the sequence. I can't recall exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the scoring chance document.
Right.
And then finally Adam Larson, Bruce. I think Adam Larson he again looks healthy, and when Adam Larson's healthy and ready to go, he is a beast to play against. And he made a great play on Johnny Gaudreau, stopping that
Yeah,
wraparound shot. And
that's
he was
true.
just nasty and effective. And we haven't seen that truly nasty, effective Adam Larson. We saw it in the last 2 weeks, 2 months of this season. We hadn't seen
Mm-hmm.
it since the 2017 playoffs, and we saw it again tonight. So, my good thing is that top four. I'm very uh, encouraged by how strong each of those players are. And it's a stronger top four than last time. I think the Oilers were in the playoffs in 2017. As good as Sekera and Russell were, I think that Nurse and Bear are going to play a little bit better, more physical game than they played. What is any comments or thoughts or
Yeah, I particularly liked Adam Larson's game tonight.
yeah,
I thought he was solid, made some real good defensive plays, and just enough for the nasty. Like he didn't sort of play the whole game on edge, but just here and there, he finished a couple of checks and cleared out the net front, and as you say, he cleaned up that dangerous play out where it was a wraparound by Goodrow. But I thought he took away a couple other good cross-ice passes with a good stick to just tip passes out of the lane and
yeah.
away from danger. And I thought he moved the puck okay. Like didn't particularly get involved in the offensive zone, but the Oilers as a team didn't spend a lot of time there after the first period.
Yeah, if the Oilers have one weakness, they really could move you know, they could really use that superior puck moving defenseman, and maybe that'll be Evan Bouchard one day, or there's Caleb Jones, there's Broberg, like all of these guys, especially Clefbaum and Bear, are very strong puck movers. But
Mm-hmm.
if they just had that one brilliant guy, that would put them over the top here. But this is a strong unit. What is your good thing, Bruce?
I'm going to share the honor between the two netminders. I thought both were real strong. I was actually pleased to see Mikko Koskinen get the start. Dave Tippett played his hands very close to his chest throughout, and the broad speculation was that Mike Smith was going to be the man, and maybe he still will be on Saturday, but I kind of doubt it. I think today's starter was a dead giveaway. And of course, Koskinen played 30 minutes and didn't let in a goal, so it's not like he got outplayed by Smith or by anybody tonight. Koskinen was real solid. And there was one sequence where he made two saves and he couldn't quite control the rebound on the second one, and then a uh, there was a chaos ensued where Philip Broberg wound up making a save on
Yeah,
Koskinen's behalf, but that was a little bit bad luck, just how like he had the puck trapped under his pad and somebody shoved it out, and the defense was just a little bit late uh, to close in there. But that was really his only moment where he didn't seem in full control. And Mike Smith came on and he was flashing the leather early and he made a few good stops. And I wasn't real thrilled with the rebound he gave out on the one Calgary goal with under 5 seconds to go in the middle frame that made it 2-1.
yeah,
But he made up for that and then some with a 10 bell stop on a 2-on-1 early in the third when Calgary was
yeah.
coming on and looked like, the tying goal was coming. And that was an enormous stop. and was it Mangiapane? I can't remember which Calgary guy it was, but I know he did not miss his shot. It was a one
Bennett.
time. It was Bennett. That's right. It was Bennett. It was a one timer off a pass, and he got it up and over Smith's pad, which was a leading bit of gear that Smith threw over there. But he got his glove over top of the pad and made the save with the glove, and that was probably the game turner in terms of saves in this game. And really, I mean, both netminders were maybe a little sloppy handling the puck, but I mean, that really can't be too much of a surprise. It's like the first week at spring training kind of thing, right? They're still working out some of those kinks. But when it came just down to straight stopping the puck, I was very satisfied with both goalies' performance. And I mean, Calgary had 37 shots in this game, and only one went in, so what's not to like?
Yeah, the Oilers had 11 grade A chances by our count, and the Flames had 10.
Mm-hmm.
So the Oilers were actually the better of the team, even though they were behind on the shot count.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I I like Mike Smith and Koskinen, and I would be happy with either of them starting against Chicago. But I do think that Koskinen may be the better pick.
Mm-hmm.
For one reason, Chicago's a lot like this Calgary team. Calgary's not a dump and chase team. This Flames team, and there's a lot of smaller skill players.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of Smurf-like, on a certain level up at the forwards with Goudreau, Dubé, Mangiapane, Derek Ryan, and so Chicago's similar, high skill team, not a dump and chase team. Lots of shots from the outside, lots of tricky shots, and that's Koskinen's game. Where against a dump and chase team, you really want to get Smith in there because of his puck handling. That can really thwart a team that tries to dump the puck in. And there's going to be teams like that the Oilers will play, I think, as this comes around. But it just initially, because of the style that Chicago plays, I see Koskinen as the better pick. And he had one of those games that he's had all year long where he's just so big in the net, Bruce. The 3-meter man. He is so big. There's nothing to shoot at. And he made one save that I really liked. There was a really wicked screen on a Calgary power play, and Lindholm came in and fired a shot kind of at that just above the pad, below the glove.
Short side.
Very difficult short side. Now, that's the kind of goal that Koskinen led in regularly in his first year with the Oilers, but has cut down on this year, and I really love that save, especially from him, although there was some more. He also slammed the door shut on Bennett on kind of a highlight reel. Those two saves before the Broberg save the team's bacon there.
So
Chris, what is your?
It was shots. He really stood tall in more ways than one. Like Calgary wasn't very successful at screening him because he's just so able to see over everything. And I find that he just does a little less guessing than Smith does, and a little more following, tracking the puck, and just being in the proper position. So anyway, I was happy to see him get the start, and very satisfied with his play, and really no complaints with Smith either. Like they were strong. So they're going to need it. I mean, you can't make any kind of run in the playoffs without having the goaltending. It's almost impossible to do.
I definitely think we're going to see both goalies this playoffs. As soon as the goalie has a bad game, the other guy will go in, and that's fine with me. Especially now like the game's so close, following each other, and what we know about goalies' wear and tear, something that wasn't known as much in the past. Right. I think having two solid goalies could be one of the keys to winning the Stanley Cup this year, Bruce. So let's hope these two guys stay healthy. Bruce, what is your bad thing?
I didn't particularly like how the Oil came out in the second period. Like they really dominated the first. I know we had scoring chances at 7-1, and they were up 2-0 before you knew what was going on, and fully in control. And really, they could easily got a third goal and ran away with it. But Cam Talbot came up with a couple of big stops. But then in the second period, they just didn't have the. Calgary raised their game, and Edmonton just wasn't able to respond to it, and that's where the netminders came through big time in the second period, in particular when the shots were 16-7, and 12-7 in the third. Like Edmonton spent a little too much of the especially the final 40 minutes in their own end of the ice without the puck. And Calgary just seemed to have a little edge on winning puck battles and keeping the puck in the zone. Uh, the Oilers were, guilty, I think, a little bit of, of that. We got the lead easily enough, and let's cruise. And it's tough to criticize because, like I say, you don't really want them leaving it all out there in a game like this anyway. And they didn't, and they found a way to win. So it's a mild criticism, but just that they couldn't carry on the level that they established in the first period for the final 40 minutes until suddenly, bam, bam, the secret weapon, Patrick Russell, broke loose with 2 points on one shift. Pretty impressive for a guy that played
5 minutes. What did he play? 4 minutes.
3 minutes and 4 minutes and 53 seconds.
Yeah.
Goal and assist. Gotta like it. Too bad the goal doesn't count, though, eh?
Yeah, because it didn't.
I'm
even
still
count.
cheesed off that he got robbed out of that one in Vancouver. That poor guy. I mean, that might have been his only NHL goal. We don't know the future, but anyway.
Someone said they're going to sign him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, he's not a bad depth player. You sign him at NHL minimum. You give him a two-way, but he's a decent depth player, and you're not going to have 20 Connor McDavids on your team, right? So at minimum salary, you want a few guys that have been around a little bit and know what's going on and know what they have to do to not hurt the team. And I think that's Patrick Russell. And the 13th, 14th forward. That's the role that he's basically played this year, and he's been okay.
My bad thing, Bruce, was well, I thought all the Oiler lines were good. I was pretty encouraged actually with the top two lines. It looks like that RNH McDavid Cassian line is going to be really good, and Ennis fits in, of course, with Yamamoto and Draisaitl, and the big line of Neal, the heavy hockey line, Neal, Chason, and Carroll looked good. That third line, though, I don't. It's a bit of a mix due to injury, but also just I'm not seeing that line having an identity yet or knowing what they're doing out there. It was three players kind of going in different directions, and they haven't played. I don't think that group of players had played together before tonight, so not unexpected. Right. I didn't mind Gaetan Haas. I thought he was okay on the PK, except that one play where he fell on his butt. Right. But I thought he was fine, and I thought Archibald was fine. And Andreas Athanasiou had his moments too, especially on the attack. But there was one play that I just question whether he's the right fit for a defensive line, a line that's going to be sent out there as a shutdown line. They had a fairly good run of offensive play, and then he made a pass back in his zone, which was picked off, and it kicked off a 3-on-2. That 3-on-2 led to 4 grade A chances. The first 2 great saves by Koskinen, then he's out of the net, and then the other 2 are when Broberg has to make the save. And that all started because a checking line forward, made a risky pass in the offensive zone. He threw the puck away. So the guy he's got some offensive talent. I actually liked his hustle, and I liked a lot about his game, except that play. And that play, Bruce, makes me think, is he going to be the guy that you want on your checking line? Wouldn't Joachim Nygaard be a safer, better pick in that same role, more likely to get the job done as a shutdown checking winger with Haas and Archibald? Let's say Shane can't play for whatever reason. So that's the question I have about Athanasiou. If one of those other 2 lines was more of a scoring line, he would fit on that line. But as the shutdown checking line, I'm not seeing it right now, Bruce.
I expected to see Nygaard in the lineup tonight. I was quite surprised when Patrick Russell was the extra forward. Like Haas going in, especially with Sheahan out. Like I thought Haas would be the 13th forward, and then of course he had to step up and play center on the one line there. So the 13th forward was between Russell and Nygaard. I was very surprised that it was Russell. Obviously it worked out all right. But I don't know if Nygaard is still, if they're still dealing with that injury or what to me, like he was unquestionably the superior choice. But
He looked good in
Uh,
the scrimmage, the
yeah,
Saturday scrimmage. Nygaard
yeah,
did. He was
yeah.
fast and dangerous and good, and he's a good.
Mhm.
I like him. I like Yoki
So did
Nygaard.
Austin Asio. He had some great moments in that scrimmage.
He did
I don't
as
know
well. And
if you saw the post that I wrote uh, today, and I included a couple of clips that were picked out by Sean Patrick Ryan and by a Twitter account called Sports Archivist. Very sharp-eyed guys, both of them, to pick up those out, all the clips that were out there, and excellent rushes, like really showing the speed and just
he does.
determination to
Yeah.
break through and take it right to the net. So there's some good signs there, but it's what he does the other 95% of the time. I remain to be convinced about, but it's nice to see, the foot speed and the nose for the net. And we saw at least one example of that tonight as well, where he made a good hard drive to the net. But checking
Yeah.
line, I don't know. It reminds me a little bit of the checking line Montreal Canadiens used to have years ago when they had. I think it was Jarvis and Gainey. I think I've got the era right. It might have been Carbonell and Gainey, and the right winger was Russ Courtnall. And Courtnall was
Really?
always like a zone ahead of the other guys. But when they got the puck and chipped it out, he was sort of the danger man on the counterattack and steaming down the wing and taking it the other way. And that's um, I mean, I'm not sure Athanasio quite cheats for offense that way, but he's the guy that's going to score individual style goals on that line, and we'll see. I mean, they're running out of places to put him. If they're not going to put him on the top six, then he better fit somewhere in the bottom six.
I thought you were going to say Murray Wilson because that's the guy that
Hmm.
Athanasiou kind of reminds me of, like
Yeah,
fast as hell with a decent shot. But now, Bruce, I'm not sure that Jarvis played in the same era. I don't want to call you
it
out here, but
might have been Carbonneau. Like I know Gainey
it's
was on the line.
Carbonneau. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the right era.
it was
Now we're
21
talking.
and 23, but it might have been Carbonneau after Jarvis left.
Yeah, Gainey played. Gainey, Carbonneau, and Courtnall all played on the same team. So there you
Right.
go. That's who you're thinking of.
Yeah.
All right. What is your numero?
Well, I'm going to give a couple of them. This is Philip Broberg and his numbers. I was again surprised that he was the choice to be the number 7 defenseman over Caleb Jones, who I thought was sort of automatic. But again, I mean, he got a late start to camp, and maybe this was just the coach's way of rewarding Broberg for a strong camp and saying, we're going to get you in this game, and we probably won't see him again. But I mean, as of now, he's number 7 on the depth chart. And all the people that were giving Spector a hard time can eat their words for a few days because clearly he passed some guys on the depth chart, at least in
Yeah.
terms of earning a spot in this game. And he had some okay moments, and he did handle that one emergency well. But boy, oh boy, did they ever uh, wind up on the short end of the play when he was out there. Shot attempts 3, 4, 15 against. Unblocked shot
Ooh,
attempts 1, 4, 11 against. Shots for 0 for 8 against. And this is scoring chances, the natural stat trick version, 0 for 10 against when he was on the ice. 0 to 10
Broberg.
in 9 minutes.
There was that one horrible sequence
Yeah,
there, right?
where they had
Ooh.
4. Yeah, yeah,
And he did save their bacon on that. But he also, if you look at the rush down, the pass goes through him twice. Passes go through
yeah,
his stick twice, Broberg, and he might have been a little soft,
yeah.
like backing in too much
Hmm.
on the coverage there, and allowed the cross seam. So yeah,
Yeah, his
whatever.
defensive positioning is a work in progress, and what can you expect for a 19-year-old? I'm not trying to dump on him. I'm just saying if
Yeah,
you're saying, "Hey, look at this Philip Broberg," there's nothing going to stop him. Well, he did play in an NHL exhibition game, and when he was on the ice, he had trouble getting out of his own zone. So
yeah.
that's what these stats say, and like I said, I don't want to dump on him, but a bunch of sort of generic-looking stats in games where nobody played 20 minutes and uh,
Yeah.
nobody had a real dominating kind of game. That was one that jumped off the sheet as being a little lopsided.
Ken Holland did say he is going back to Skellefteå Broberg is this season, and that that obviously makes sense. They're definitely sounds like they're definitely having a hockey season in Sweden. And that team has lost. I think it's lost its top two defensemen.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he's going to get an opportunity to move up. Like they play 7D every game, and we see what happens to time on ice when that happens.
Yep.
A lot of the players end up playing 13, 14, 15 minutes.
Right.
We're going to see Broberg's probably going to move up from the 14-minute a game class to the 18-minute game class there in Sweden, and that'll do a world of good for him.
I'm hoping for 20, and I'm just hoping for like a more prominent role and playing bigger situations and stuff because Philip Berglund is one of the guys that left, who was his partner for part of the year at least. And the other guy is a guy named Pudis or something like that, who was their leading scorer.
He's coming to North America.
For D-men. Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah, he's a really good player, I think.
He left, so he...
maybe Dallas.
That opens the door for a couple of... for a guy to move up at least one pairing in the scheme of things. And if he keeps on improving, he may well jump right into the first pairing. So...
Yes, that's a definite
possibility. That would be the ideal.
Jonathan.
So, positive arrows here, but let's not get too far ahead of ourselves and think that he's made it. He's here for good. I think he learned some valuable lessons tonight. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Oh, he's Jonathan Pudis is playing with Jokerit in the KHL, but he may have an NHL contract, and I think it might be with Dallas if I'm not mistaken, but I might be mistaken. All right, Bruce, my number is 1. Zach Kassian was only officially credited with 1 hit. Maybe that's all he had, but man, what a hit. He just absolutely clocked Erik Gustafsson. And it was a great moment in the game. Like, it's like, this is what the Oilers are going to need from Zach Kassian to be this fearsome, intimidating hockey player who makes those kinds of hits, legal hits in the playoffs. And, he'd started off the game with a turnover and an icing play. So he didn't start off that well, but that got it going. And that really was, I thought, exciting for an exhibition game. That was a really interesting game. The Oilers did crank it down a notch, didn't fully go for it, I think, after they got that 2-0 lead, although they got into it again when it got close and Calgary came on. But Kassian, that was a good moment.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to see it, loved to see it. And the Oilers are going to need more of that in the playoffs because they're going to need to hit. And then Archibald also gave Gustafsson a good old
blast. Yeah, Gustafsson seemed to be in the sights of a few guys. He got clobbered 2 or 3 times. And I'd be willing to bet you, if I was a betting man, I would bet you units that Kassian will have more than 1 hit on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting game. We won't go through this. We'll talk about Chicago. I went through the exercise of looking at Chicago and how they can beat the Oilers, so it's definitely possible. But this Oilers team, I am bullish on them, Bruce. Well, Bruce, let's leave it there. I've already posted the game grade, so I'm just going to add in our podcast. And thanks for talking tonight.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll get back to real hockey, like more meaningful hockey on Saturday, and we'll probably be going into that game in a bit more detail, I would expect. But a good start. I'll take it. No, they got through it, and here we are. I think ready to, as ready as they're going to be, to move on to that next stage.
Thanks again, Bruce.
Thanks for listening, everyone.
And in the meantime, and in between times, this has been another edition of the Cult of Hockey podcast.